Welcome to another top time-saving tip for Revit architecture. I'm Patrick Villela with CAD Consulting. In this tip, I'll be showing you a little trick that I use to help troubleshoot issues that I'm having with a plan's view range. I'm also going to show you a thing to keep in mind with walls that also has to do with view ranges. Now, here I have two different walls that are both the same wall type, but we can clearly see that they're being displayed differently in our plan. If I go to a section for that particular wall, you see that we have one wall that is 5'6", the other one is 9 feet. The cut plane for that particular view is right around 4 feet. So you might expect that both of those would look the same because they're both being intersected by the cut plane, but that isn't the case. So what you need to keep in mind with a wall is that there is a hard-coded number that's built into Revit that has to do with their display. For instance, if you go into the help file and you look up either view range or view depth, you'll get this great little graphic, which I'm sure you've seen before, that sort of indicates what those different planes do for the view. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you see that there are actually some additional view range rules that you need to keep in mind. So one of those has to do with walls. We see that walls that are shorter than 6 feet are not cut, even if they intersect the cut plane. So that's something really important to keep in mind. Now, sometimes if we're in a view, such as just a coarse view, you may not even see the difference between those two different walls because they both look identical. We don't see any difference between the projected and the cut. So a little trick that I like to use just to demonstrate that difference is I've set up a view template that color codes different parts of the walls. So I'm going to go in to apply the view template. You see that I've created a view template for view range diagnostic. Now what that does for me is if I go into my visibility graphics overrides, you see that I've gone through and I've color-coded the projection lines for my floors, color-coded the projection lines for my walls, and I have a different color for the cuts. So if I apply that, here we very clearly see purple for the projected wall, we see cyan for the cut wall. Sometimes this little piece that's in between those two parallel parts of the wall, that can be a little confusing. Sometimes people think that that's part of the wall, so you could be messing with different geometry or view ranges and things trying to get rid of that. Turns out that's actually the floor that we're seeing through there, which makes sense. Okay? So just keep in mind that there is a rule that's built into Revit that has to do with walls that are less than 6 feet. Now actually, just about a week ago, a client of ours was asking the question, what if they don't want these partition walls to look any different from a full height wall? To some architects, they actually treat everything that intersects the cut plane as being displayed identically. So in that case, this is another wall that is less than 6 feet. So if I go into the element properties, we see that sure enough, it's actually only 5 feet. But we see that that is being displayed as a cut. So it looks identical to this. So how did I get around that little built-in 6-foot number? Well, some people may try to do that with a plan region, but there's actually nothing we could do with a plan region that would give us that result because it doesn't have anything to do with the view range. It's something that's just built in. If the wall is less than 6 feet, he's going to be displayed as projected. Except if we go back in to the help file, you see that there's actually one other thing we want to keep in mind. So for walls shorter than 6 feet, it says this behavior always occurs when the top constraint property for the wall is specified as unconnected. Okay, cool. So that's the secret. So what I've done, let's just go into this section. I just created a level that doesn't have a corresponding floor plan, set it at whatever height I wanted, then I selected this wall and I just made sure that it was connected to that level. So even though he's only 5 feet tall, because he is constrained to the partition level, we see that he shows up with a cut line style. Okay, pretty cool. So we just saw a method that we could use to display these walls either as projected or as cut, depending on what our own graphic standards are. We also saw how to use a little trick with view templates to just go ahead and set up some overrides to display things differently as different colors to help you troubleshoot some of those different view range issues. So I hope you found this helpful. This is certainly a little tool or trick that I use very frequently to help me out to get the floor plans to look just the way that I want them. So I'm Patrick Bolello, and I hope to see you again on future tips.